All right, let's get into it. We're going to pop the hood on one of the most expensive and honestly, one of the most misunderstood parts of your car, the automatic transmission. I'm going to share some real-world tips, the kind of stuff we mechanics talk about in the shop, to help you keep yours running smooth for a long, long time to come. So let me ask you something. What do you think is the #1 killer of automatic transmissions? Is it, driving it too hard, putting a ton of miles on it, maybe towing something heavy? Look, those are all really good guesses, but they're not the root cause. They're actually just symptoms of a much bigger, more fundamental problem. Here it is, the single biggest enemy. The one thing that will absolutely cook your transmission from the inside out is heat. Plain and simple. If you can learn to manage this one invisible enemy, you've won more than half the battle, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So where is all this killer heat even coming from? Well, believe it or not, every single automatic transmission has its own little furnace built right inside. It's a very specific part that's just constantly generating a massive amount of heat pretty much every single time you drive. And that part is called the torque converter. The easiest way to think of it is like a fluid coupling that connects your engine to your transmission. Now, whenever the engine is spinning faster than the transmission, which happens all the time, like when you're just sitting at a red light and drive, the fluid inside is getting churned under intense pressure. And that process, it's literally turning mechanical energy into heat, basically slow cooking your transmission fluid. Now here's the cool part. You actually have a direct window to see the damage that heat is causing. And the best part, it only takes like 30 seconds to do. This is, without a doubt, the most important habit you can get into for the health of your car. It's the good old-fashioned transmission fluid check. First, you got to get the car warmed up to its normal operating temp, then park it on level ground. Pull out that dipstick, wipe it totally clean, stick it all the way back in, and then pull it out one more time. You're looking for 3 key things here: the level, the color, and yes, the smell. Okay, so on the left, that's your goal. That's healthy fluid, it's this bright, kind of translucent red color, and it might even smell a little bit sweet. But on the right, that's trouble. That's fluid that's been damaged by heat. It gets dark brown, sometimes almost black, and it has this nasty, acrid, burnt smell. If you smell that, it means the fluid is toast. It's been cooked, and it's not protecting your transmission anymore. So, the big question is, how do we stop the heat before it does this kind of damage? Well, the good news is, some of the most powerful ways to fight back are completely free. Yeah, you heard that right. They just involve changing a few simple driving habits. The main thing here is giving that torque converter a break. So if you're at a long stoplight, I'm talking more than 30 seconds, just pop it into neutral. That simple action uncouples the engine from the transmission and instantly stops that major heat production. Also on cold days, give the car a minute to warm up before you take off. If you're going down a long steep hill, use your manual gear selection to let the engine do the braking. And of course, try to avoid super aggressive, high RPM driving. All these little things add up to way less heat. Now, changing your driving habits is your first line of defense for sure. But if you really want to win the war against heat, you need to be able to see it. You need intel. And while the heat itself is invisible, you can absolutely track its temperature. You just need the right tool for the job. See, your car is already monitoring its own transmission temperature. All you have to do is tap into that data stream. You can do it through the OBD2 port. That's that little diagnostic plug usually right under your steering wheel. A simple, really cheap scanner, or even just a Bluetooth dongle that connects to an app on your phone will give you a real-time gauge. You can see exactly what's going on in there. And this is what you're looking for. The sweet spot, the safe zone, is right around 175 to 225 degrees Fahrenheit. That's perfect. But once you start creeping up towards 250, you're in the caution zone. This is where the fluid starts to break down and form this sticky stuff called varnish. And that varnish, it clogs up tiny, critical passages in the valve body, causing all sorts of shifting problems. Get over 275 and you're in the danger zone. Seals get hard and crack, clutches start to slip, and if you ever see 300 degrees, well, that's a 5-alarm fire. You're causing rapid, permanent damage at that point. Here's a little rule of thumb we use in the shop, and you should remember this. For every 20 degrees you operate over that ideal temperature, you cut the life of your transmission fluid in half. Think about that. The damage is exponential. A few minutes running way too hot can do more damage than thousands of miles of normal driving. Okay, so for those of you who really push your vehicles hard, just watching your habits might not be enough. If you're someone who tows, hauls heavy stuff, or just lives in a tough environment, you're going to need a more serious protection plan. So be honest with yourself for a second. Does your daily drive fall under what the manufacturer calls severe duty? Because if the answer is yes, then you need to know that the standard maintenance schedule in your owner's manual, it just doesn't apply to you. And severe duty isn't just about hauling a huge trailer either. It also means spending most of your commute in heavy stop-and-go city traffic, where that torque converter is just constantly churning and making heat. It means driving up and down mountains or hills all the time, or even just living somewhere where it's regularly over 90 degrees outside. All of that is considered severe use.
So if any of that sounds like you have to change your fluid way more often. Just forget about the 60,000 or 100,000 mile interval you might see somewhere. For severe duty, the rule is 30,000 miles, period. I'm telling you, this is the single best investment you can make to avoid a $5,000 repair bill down the road.
And look, for anyone who tows anything, especially if you're getting close to your vehicle's limit, let me be crystal clear about this. An auxiliary transmission cooler isn't some fancy upgrade. It's not optional. It is an absolute necessity. The small cooler that comes built into your radiator just wasn't designed for that kind of punishment.
And the difference it makes is just dramatic. A properly installed auxiliary cooler can drop your transmission's running temperature by 30, 40, even 50 degrees when you're working it hard. That is often enough to take you right out of that dangerous red zone and put you squarely back in the green, safe zone. You're literally doubling, maybe even quadrupling, the life of your fluid and your transmission.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's boil it all down into a final, simple checklist that you can use to give your transmission a real fighting chance. Here it is. Number 1, once a month, take 30 seconds to check your fluid. Number 2, use those smart driving habits. Shift to neutral at long stops. Number 3, if you tow or haul anything, get a scanner and keep an eye on your temps. 4, if you're a severe duty driver, change that fluid every 30,000 miles, no exceptions. And last, if you tow regularly, just install an auxiliary cooler. It really is that simple. You know, your transmission isn't some fragile, delicate thing. It was engineered to handle incredible forces and to last for hundreds of thousands of miles. It was built to last. The only question is, now that you know its greatest enemy is just a little bit of extra heat, are you going to give it the chance to actually do its job?